Hello everyone, good day to all of you. The Slim Line stock from HK is going to be the focus of today's video. This is by far my favorite stock. I've picked up a lot of these, although it looks very minimalist and like there's not a whole lot going on. The execution on a lot of these features and kind of the minute details and how they were made is just really, really nice. However, when I look at other people talking about and giving their own kind of thoughts on this stock, a very common complaint that I see pop up is that the only method of attaching a sling here is just, this is your only option. You just direct thread it right through there. For my use case, generally, this isn't an issue because I usually run my sling right here at the end plate, and I usually direct thread it anyway because just that's what I prefer. However, I do know there are a lot of people, as I said, that do prefer the QD or the push button type of slings, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. In specific, the Tier 1 QD adapter for slimline stocks, as I have right here. I do actually have an interest in this myself, not just doing it for a review, which I do think will be beneficial just to get the information out there, but I do actually have an extra one of these slimline stocks just kind of sitting around here that I'm going to be probably giving to a family member that really likes QD types of slings. So if this works out pretty well, then I'll probably be giving this to them. So starting out, I was contacted by Tier 1 and they did send this to me for review. They do offer this in two colors. I specifically asked if they could to send the tan one, which they did, and I wanted that because then I could compare how their color stacks up to, this is a Black Ops Defense reanodization, which should be pretty close to the actual HK color, but you know, there's a lot of tan furniture on here, so it'll be a good comparison to kind of see how their anodization color stacks up against everything else, and should be a pretty good comparison that way. Now, I did also want to talk about, so this is $100 at least as of when I'm recording this video. It just came out a few weeks ago, pretty new product. This is very, very similar to the actual HK adapter. They do make, there is an OEM one that is pretty similar to this, only offered in black. Now, again, also when I'm recording this, that HK one, if you can get it, if you're watching this and you're from Europe, that is 163 euros right now. However, I looked on Gunbroker also, and usually, I mean, you're kind of just at the whims of whoever happens to import those, and whatever they want to ask is what you're going to pay if you want to get the actual ones through Gunbroker, and I've seen those from, usually it's around $300 to $400, but obviously you can get some real psychos out there that just try to go crazy with the price, and maybe you'll get some reasonable people occasionally, but you know, Gunbroker is kind of your only bet for the actual OEM ones, and that's kind of ridiculous for a lot of US people, myself included, so who wants to pay that price? So looking at the Tier 1, let's go ahead and first off, before I even mount it, because it'll be easier to do a color comparison now, let's see how their color looks. So things will always look a little different on the camera. This is very, very close to the actual anodization color that you can see here, which is very nice. It is, so in person, however, this is a little bit more yellow, ever so slightly. More of a goldish, much more, if you look at how that stacks up against, if you look at how this compares, for example, to the Geissele DDC here, pretty similar there. But overall, yeah, very consistent and looks good. So it's pretty cool. You don't even need to really choose which side you want to run it on. You could just install this whole adapter here, and then if you change your mind at any point on how you want to run your sling, you can totally do that. I am going to note that I'm not sure if this will be any different when they actually ship it to you if you buy it, but when they sent it to me, this is all I got. Just the bag here, which included the QD adapter itself, these two parts, which will go together, and then the two screws, of course, for it as well. But they don't have any instructions, no torque specs, so I'm going to kind of just get this to... These screws do have this kind of, you can see the blue right there. I don't think that's actual Loctite, because that's not how you'd usually apply it, but it is some sort of compound there, which should help to kind of keep things from backing out. So you can see this right here. It'll just pop in, and then this one goes on the other side. I also do want to point out that unlike the actual HK adapters, these Tier 1 adapters will only fit on the 416 stocks, or the AR pattern of stocks for these types of buffer tubes. They did mention that they are planning to make a 416 or a 417 version for the bigger stocks here, because you can see, so if I hold up the actual 416 compared to the 417 stocks, identical ones, you can see how much wider the 417 stock is by comparison. So that's why theirs doesn't fit on this version. It's just going to be for your 416 stocks, and you can see that it doesn't really grab on. So that's what's going on there. But as I said, they are planning to make a separate version for these in the future, which is cool. So I'm just going to pop this through now. They have their logo on here. I'm just going to put it to the top for weird OCD-ness. And then you can see the way that this is going to work. I'll go ahead and kind of dry assemble it outside of the stock itself. That way it's easier to see. These are pretty much mirrored copies of each other. You just put those like that. You can see how that falls into that little slot right there. Same on the other side, and it just will lock together. I was also kind of thinking, and I was a little bit concerned, that this could potentially cause some issues with maybe it would dig into the polymer material here, since this is aluminum going on to polymer. But I do like how flat this is on the backside. It doesn't seem like anyway that it'll cause an issue, which I will test, of course, when I actually get to reviewing it. But let's get this installed, actually get it installed now. And these are Torx head screws. So looks like a T15 is the size you'll need for this. Just confirming, yeah. T15 is what this takes. So you can see I'm just holding this here from the back side, and you can hear that kind of click into place. Maybe if my microphone picked it up. So that side is tight enough to hold. I'm just going to get the other side now. So that does it for the installation. Very straightforward, just 2 screws and then you're done. I do like how kind of low profile and flush this is. It's not too much going on. I did look at some other aftermarket options there that were around, and some of them are kind of bulky. But just going to check with this sling really quick, make sure it doesn't, you know, pop out on its own or anything, just as a preliminary check, and then I'll actually go out and test it. That side is good. Flipping this around here, and this is the side I would probably be actually running the sling on more. And that's good too. It doesn't seem to be popping out at all. So that's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my regular sling off. I'm going to put this one on instead, run it with the QD back here, you can see, and just put it through its paces and see how it does. All right, so now to talk about how this is actually held up. I've had this on here. I've been getting a lot of good practice with it on, and I took this out hunting. So I was hiking out in the mountains, had this, you know, slung and just dangling around quite a bit. And I also took this out to the range, which is the footage I'll be putting up in just a moment here. And if you're wondering about the zombie targets, I did record that around Halloween. 'Tis the season for those sorts of things. And all in all, doing a ton of ready drills and just trying to test out this adapter quite a bit. And overall, it's been holding up phenomenally. I have been trying out each side just for the review, just to check if there's any issues. So I've been switching the sling from this side to this side, etc. Generally, I am running it on this side, but both sides are working great. Very impressed with the durability of it. One thing on the durability, which I did think was kind of interesting, is the HK one actually doesn't have a insert. It's just one piece of aluminum. Compared to this, you actually do have a little cup insert, which you can see right there, which does help as this gets used a lot and worn in, so you don't get a whole bunch of wear on the aluminum itself. And it has held up really well. Furthermore, this whole unit is super lightweight. If I have a chance to, I'm gonna see if I can borrow a really good scale and weigh this. At least when you're feeling it, it doesn't feel like it adds any weight whatsoever. Super negligible that way. And if I do get the exact weight of this, I will put it up on the screen right here. But all in all, as far as function, this has worked absolutely flawlessly, and it's really, really good. Held up great, no issues with the finish coming off or anything like that. Now, for the last thing that I did want to check, so if you get this, you're probably going to be using it and keeping it installed, but as I mentioned at the start when I was installing this, I am curious if this will have any effect on the stock underneath it. if you recall, I was mentioning I wonder if this would kind of mar the stock at all. So we're going to find out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop this off now. Let's go ahead and remove the sling as well while I'm at it. So I have got the QD adapter removed right now. And if you look right here, there actually is ever so slightly of a mark left. If I take this back out, you can see how this lines up here. It's pretty much, there's pretty much no marks, but there is a little bit of one right here where the actual cup itself sits. So if you look at the top of here, you can see kind of like a tiny bit of like a semicircle indentation. And you can see, so see where that is again, and look where this lines up. So there is a little bit of a mark left from that part itself, but extremely minimal. And actually, now that I am looking at it, there's a little bit of a matching mark on the bottom side as well from the exact same cup part as well. And it's identical on the other side. So if you do mount this, you will see a little bit of a mark, but it's not much. So overall, my thoughts on this Tier 1 SLS-QD sling adapter is that it's really good. If you are looking for a way to attach a QD type of sling to your slimline stock, then this works really well. There's a pretty good chance that I will be picking up one of these myself, as I said, because I do know someone who could benefit from this, because I don't have a use for that extra stock. It's for a build that I decided not to do and fell through. And if you are looking to pick up one of these for yourself, these are $100 currently through their site, tier1outfitters.net, and that tier part is spelled Tango Yankee Romeo, TYR. So do note that. It's a little bit of a different spelling there. Let me know if you have any other questions on this or on anything else in the comments below. I always love to hear it, and I always do read them, although I don't always have the time to respond to all of them. But thank you all regardless. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.